Hi everyone, this is Cara at Wise Roots. This is my second video on van life. So the first video was about the 5 good things of van life. This second video is 5 not so great things, the downsides of van life. Number 1 is damp. It is absolutely not that great when you're in a van. You need to make sure that you get rid of all moisture and all condensation, have the windows open, which is good, I like that bit, but always making sure that you have the windows open, that you are not trapping things in cupboards, that everything has circulation of air, that you're not trapping anything, you know, so you don't get mold. Mold is not good in your environment. We want to avoid mold. So mold and mildew are not good. So you always have to be on top of it, looking in your cupboards, making sure that a van or a motorhome, a self-build or a coach build is not got any areas of mold or condensation in it. That's my number 1 bugbear. My number 2 is certain times of year it can get very cold. So unless you are, you know, you don't mind the cold, you've got to wrap up, you've got to make sure that you have all those layers on. You know, don't expect for it to be red hot all the time unless you just want to be van life in summer. That's fine, you know, that's great. But when it gets to December, January and February are the worst. But it is going to be cold, you know. It's like kind of, I've been in my vehicle and it's been minus. The water tanks can freeze up. In my van I've got water tanks, which that's kind of number 5 on my list, but we've got a few more to go until then. So number 1 damp, number 2 cold. Number 3 is solar power, being off grid. Okay, so when you're relying on solar, you cannot have electricity flowing and flowing and flowing and use whatever you want, whenever you want to use it. So we have like this thing in van life where you kind of have got so much generated electricity from your solar, and if you're not wanting to plug into this is like my 3rd year now of not plugging into the grid. In some campsites you can plug in to electricity, especially over winter, and it is very helpful, especially if you're in the UK, because it can get very cold and you're just not going to generate the amount of power. This video isn't to go, you know, there's loads of videos out there that go into like the power and what you can do to raise it, but on a cloudy day, boy, you know, you're just really going to be held hostage by, if the sun doesn't hit those solars, you are not going to be able to use any power generated from that, and you're going to have to plug in to the grid. So that's number 3. Number 4, okay, toilet. If you're going to go and use it, it's got to be emptied. Okay, so unless you're on land and you have access to a lovely composting toilet, which is the best option, if you have a porta potty in your toilet, which we all need to go, what I do is I separate pee-pee and poo-poo, and you know, that is really good. When I am in, if I stop at eco farms, they could, you know, you can use your urine. When I stop at my farm, I actually use it as a fertilizer for plants. But when you're out on the road, you know, you're going to have to stop and offload this respectfully, and probably at an Elsan or a brown waste disposal. So it is something that for you to do in line with the disposal methods that are there. There's lots of other disposable methods. I'm not here to talk about those. I dispose of my waste ethically, so it is something that you do need to. Number 4, empty it. The last one, number 5, is water tanks. Okay, sometimes they can get a little bit smelly, you know, they can kind of burp. I like to use the word that they belch and burp. So I've got a grey waste tank underneath, I do clean it. I have to clean it, because if you don't clean it when it gets warm, boy, all of that like smell comes up. Even if you keep them clean, it kind of comes up the drains, it comes up the sink pipe, it comes up, we've got a little sink in the kitchen area, we've got a little sink in the toilet, and then we've got a sink for our shower. And it kind of, all of that smell from the grey waste tank, I try not to use my grey waste tank at all, and I try not to put any water down there, because I've like been van life without any water, the need for water, and I take bowls outside. But this van here, you know, when we go travelling, we kind of like to use the sinks and the drainage, because there's two of us. When it was just me, it was a lot easier. For the water tanks for washing, because I had less washing. So there's certain things that you can and can't put down your tanks, so you have to be very careful what you put down your tank and how you clean it, where you put that water if it's contaminated. So it is kind of a responsibility. All these things are responsibilities, such as well, if the temperature starts getting like minus certain kind of temperatures, your water tanks are liable to freeze. And you really don't want that. It is something that is like, they're kind of frozen, right? Obviously you have to empty them. And then I've been camping over winter, and the tanks have frozen, but you know, you have to keep a check on the weather. I just basically went the simple route without, because there's lots of things you can do. You know, this video isn't about everything. If you've got your experiences, please put them down in the comments below. For me, I would prefer to empty my tanks. I prefer to be in a different way and take bowls outside. We'll live in a different way. Take bowls outside, kind of get rid of the wastewater that way, bring in water and use bottled water, and not insulate the tanks. So that's kind of what I chose. I chose that road because it was a bit simpler, not as, you know, kind of, it's just easier. Okay, so this is my video on the downsides of living and travelling and being a van lifer. You know, being in your van for more than one or 2 weeks. You do, you know, or at different times of the year. If you're travelling at different times of the year on holiday, all of these things will come, you know, and be really, really interesting for you to find out. So if you have liked this video, please give me a big thumbs up, like, subscribe and share. Put your comments of your experiences in the comments below, please do. And I hope you've enjoyed this video. If there's any ideas for videos that you'd like me to do, please do ask. And that is lovely, and thank you very much for watching. Bye.